Where was the left when 90,000 illegal children were detained under Obama, wrapped in foil and put in cages? Many of them trafficked to the border and then trafficked into the interior of the United States. I know where I was reporting on it.
We were just in Brownsville and McAllen last week, and we discovered that the Border Patrol was paying via a credit card for illegals that had come in, mainly women with children, babies. McAllen, Texas is tapping their resources.
It's going to take an effect on their money, on their budget, because you don't budget for stuff like that. I mean, you can budget some, but at some point, you didn't see or foresee the amount of immigrants coming over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they're paying for bus tickets, they're generating power for them, they're putting up tents, they're feeding them.
Wouldn't you say that's exploitation at a high level? I mean, that's crazy. If I did something like that, they'd want to put me in jail.
Where was your outrage about DACA when, as the Washington Times reported, 10 people who'd been arrested on murder charges were nonetheless granted permission to remain and work in the United States under the Obama-era DACA amnesty? 31 Dreamers had rape charges on their records. Nearly 500 had been accused of sex crimes, and more than 2,000 had been arrested for drunken driving, yet were approved for DACA status. Where was your concern when, according to the FBI in 2017, there were 464,324 NCIC entries for missing children? Similarly, in 2016, the total number of missing children entries into NCIC was 465,676 American children. Where was your outrage when families were torn apart after 8.2 million marijuana arrests were made between 2001 and 2010? 88% were for simply having marijuana, and despite roughly equal usage rates, blacks were 3.73 times more likely than whites to be arrested for marijuana. Where were you when on November 21st, 2013, Texas Child Protective Services forcibly removed 7 children of a Texas homeschool family in spite of no evidence of abuse or neglect, by order of Judge Graciela Olvera of the 256th District Court of Dallas County? Where were you when this illegal was dumping women he had just murdered on our streets? Where were you when Kate Steinle was murdered by an illegal in broad daylight and walked free? Where were you when 14-year-old Justin Lee was run over by this illegal while riding his bike? Justin was permanently separated from his family.
And with a story developing right now, this is our first look at the man who police say hit and killed a Wixom teenager and just kept driving. And now we've just learned he's in the country illegally.
I miss him so much already.
Patty Lee is grieving the sudden death of her 14-year-old son, Justin Lee.
My little boy was my everything. It was the reason why I got up every day.
Justin's life was cut short this week when he was killed in a hit and run while on his bike in Wixom. The driver accused appeared in court today.
Through our investigation, we found out that Miguel Cerda was planning on heading to Mexico, making him a flight risk.
Where were you when, as recently as April, 24 children were raped by illegals in North Carolina as the rape fest continues unabated? These aren't apples and oranges. I know where the left was. Nowhere. Because they don't care about family values, much less American children. And I seriously doubt the left really cares about migrant children. They care about the midterms. The left is a brainwashed borg of cult-like berserk collectivism, hell-bent by any means necessary to fundamentally change the truths that we as Americans hold self-evident. John Bound reporting.